Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of My Cars. This is a series where we will talk about and go through every car that I have owned over the past years. And today we are at episode number 14 and we are going to talk about my BMW E46 M3. If you have any questions about my M3, please leave them down below in the comment section. And now, let's begin the story. So this was really early spring and I saw an ad on Facebook for an E46 M3, which was a swapped M3, not an OEM M3, and that made it a little bit cheaper. And then I was like, is this something I can actually afford? Because I mean, driving an M car has always been a dream. I mean, having a S engine after years of driving 325s, 525s, 520s, 320s and whatnot, M3 is like the next step. So I contacted the guy and had a look at the car, and then I actually bought it. So this was originally a 318 E46 from 2001, which was swapped with a UK 2001 E46 M3. So this car had the drivetrain, it had all the diff, the transmissions, the axles, everything was M3, the brakes were M3, engine was M3, everything was M3 on this car except the chassis. That was a 318, and he did not weld in the wider arches in the back, so it was still like a 318 look on the outside of the car, except for the exhaust. That was a M3 replica bumper. So I was really happy with the car, and like I said, it was my first really expensive car, and that was seriously a lot of fun. Having that S54 B32 engine with 343 horsepower, that was insane. Driving that for the first time, that was a magical feeling. Before we continue into the story, remember to subscribe and like this video, and now we can continue. Then I also had a huge upgrade on the car, and that was the interior. We got the M3 seats, we got M3 door cards, we got the rear M3 seats. We also installed some M3 mirrors, and we installed some new M3 headlights. And we fixed something that was broken with the AC, we actually fixed as well. After that, I thought the car looked pretty cool. Then I of course wanted to experiment with how a S54 could sound potentially. So I decided that one day we could remove the whole rear muffler to see how much noise that actually took away. And let me tell you, it took away a lot of noise. It was loud. I only had that exhaust for like 2 days or something like that, and I had to put it back on because it was simply too much. And then it also was one of the biggest changes to the car, which you could not see on the exterior, and that was rod bearings. I knew when I bought the car I wanted to swap the rod bearings because that's a common fault on the S54 engine. So I got help to do that from a professional, and he swapped the bearings for me, which was really, really nice. So after we swapped the bearings, then I could finally drive the car hard. Then summer was getting closer and we got some OEM E46 M3 wheels on the car, and I also lowered it in the back some more. It was on some Super Sport coilovers, so those were brand new, and I lowered it a little bit more in the back, and then it looked seriously minty fresh. It looked super, super cool when I got those M3 wheels on, and those also were quite wide. So I thought that this car actually, that made the car look wider than it is, because like I said, it's a non-M chassis car, but it looked wider in the back with those wide M3 wheels. And I also swapped out the taillights on it when I also got the wheels on to some white taillights, and I also thought those looked super, super fresh. Then I took it to my first track day. That was at a local event and I had really fun. I took some tires with me that day. I drove to the event 2.5 hours, drifted all day with the tires I had, of course, and drove home again. It was just a great day. I mean, that S54 with 343 horsepower, it has plenty of power. It's plenty enough to drift in the dry. And it has a good LSD, feels good in the steering. Those M3 seats hold you in place, not like a bucket seat, but it's good enough. So I mean, that made me really fall in love with the M3 because having a car that you can like drive to an event, drift all day, it's not overheating, it's working all of the day. You can go back home again in the same car. Yeah, it's good. I can't say enough how good of a car an E46 M3 really is. I love E46 M3s. Yeah, mine was manual. I don't know if I mentioned that, but mine was manual, so you could clutch dump it if you want to. And I did some of that as well, actually. Then I decided for the summer of 2019 I wanted to go on a different kind of vacation with my girlfriend and then compared to what I've previously done. So I said to her that I wanted to do a driving vacation. Instead of taking an airplane to a nice location, let's drive there. And we did. I convinced her to take the E46 M3 and we actually drove 5,500 kilometers around Europe, and that was a crazy trip. We drove to Venice, we drove to Pisa, we drove to Monaco, Cannes, Nice, Paris, and then back through Germany and Denmark and then back to Norway again. That was a great trip, especially with that E46 driving down on the Autobahn and just flooring it to the max. I think actually I will make a new video with that trip like in 10 minutes or whatever. Let me know if you want to see that. Then it was time to fix another common issue on the E46, and that is the diff. Yeah, that's right, it's often the rod bearings and the diff. That's a common issue on the E46. So I bought a kit from Racing Diffs, I think, and I installed that with some help. I could not do that, and that really tightened up the diff, especially the play you get in the right axle from the diff. And that really helps. That was good, and it also made the differential lock more, maybe go from, let's say, 25% LSD to maybe 35 or 40%, I don't know. So I was happy with that. And then after I had it, the diff fixed, I thought, well, now I wanted to try it on a bigger track, because this is, like I said, it's a daily, it's a track car, it's a drifter, it's anything you want it to be. So I took it to the biggest track you can get in Norway, and that's Rudskogen. So I took it there for both racing and drifting. So I bought some semi-slick tires, and I thought it would be a cool idea to drive some racing around the track. And let me tell you, it was really fun to try and drive fast. But I have not done that so much before, so it was really different than what I'm used to. So, and almost my first time on track, or like a big track. So that was really, really fun. And at the end of the day, I also swapped over the tires to some drifting spares that I had in the rear so I could lose the grip. That was almost like a dream come true, to drift through the main corner of Rudskogen. I've been watching videos of that ever since I was a little kid, people drifting through that corner. And when I was younger, my big brother also drifted that corner, and I was a passenger, and I was like, that is so cool. So to being able to do that myself now, so cool. Once again, yeah, I could just drive the E46 back home again, not having it on the trailer. It's a good car, let me tell you, it's a good car. Then I had the final drive of the season before winter storage. But the winter went by like that, and then all of a sudden it was spring again and time to take the M3 out for some fun after 6 months. Oil temp is good. Oh my god! Wow! That has been too long! Oh my god! Then I swapped to some 19-inch CSL replica wheels that I have bought. It looked really, really good. And of course I had to break them in with some burnouts and some fun. Then, after 1 season and a little bit of driving in the spring, I thought that I would like another car, and I decided that I wanted to sell the car. A funny thing is that, you know why I sold it? I actually sold that car because I wanted a R34 Skyline. But if you do know the story, or you'll watch some of the next episodes of my cars, you do know that I did not buy a R34 Skyline after this. But that was actually the original plan. But back in 2020, I was not able to buy a Skyline. I bought another fun project instead that I will talk about in a later episode. But yeah, if there is any questions you have about my E46 M3, leave them down below. I will just conclude this video and the E46 M3 with that this is a great car, and I will most likely own another one later in my life because I need to experience that again. I've had the E36 M3 now, and I had the E46 M3. Perhaps the E92 M3 is also a really fun car, but I think that it's maybe doesn't have that much soul. I really like the manual transmission you get in the E46. Yeah, you get a manual transmission in the E92 as well, but that's a V8. Yeah, I don't know. But either way, E46, really cool car. Like, I cannot say that enough, how of a good car that is. It's so good. I mean, when I get a family, it would be cool to have like a touring E46 M3 if I could get one. But yeah, nevertheless, I was really happy with the car. It was my first expensive car and a dream car on my bucket list. So I'm super happy to have crossed that off and like go into the world of more expensive and cooler cars. If you have any questions, go down below and comment, and tell me also what was your favorite modification to that car. And now let's wrap it up. So I will thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.